All right, and it is 1:30. I'm going to call to order the Rockdale Planning and Zoning meeting of Tuesday, December the 2nd, 2025. Could I have a roll call, please?
Chair Williams.
Here.
Vice Chair Ratliff.
Here.
Commissioner Miles.
Here.
Commissioner Flores.
Here.
Commissioner Houston. Commissioner Higdon. And Liaison Daniel Willie.
By the thinnest of margins, we do have a quorum, so let's go ahead and start with citizens' communications. Oh, yeah, well, I should have done that first. I'm so worried about not having a quorum, I can't put it together. All right. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this glorious day. Thank you for all of the fellowship and good food and that we experienced this weekend with the holiday of Thanksgiving. Lord, please bless the city of Rockdale and her residents. Bless this meeting, all of the discussion, decisions, and considerations that are made herein. Please let them be pleasing to you and in accordance with your will. We ask all of this in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Now let's go to citizens' communications. None. All right. We're going to have receive a presentation from the city staff regarding the November city council meeting and the building standards.
Okay, for the council meeting, it was pretty light as far as development services was concerned. There's a couple things. The first I brought to your attention last meeting. We had the first reading of changing the vacant commercial fees to make it a flat fee of what it actually costs the city to provide those services, which is about $750. And then the second was one that you did not see. You may remember it. It's 712 North Wilcox. It was a plat that came before you probably about 2 years ago now. And it's 14 lots. The intention was to build 3D homes on them,
Yes.
if that rings a bell.
Yes.
They have moved forward with a development agreement on, it sets the standards of what those structures will look like, what they're inspected by, as well as getting its financing together. So that way they can move forward with bonding the project and actually coming forward with a final plat that you will see.
Is there a national standard on it, 3D printed, or?
It's so new. The codes that we have adopted for it, they have 3D standards, but it specifically says you cannot apply them to concrete homes, which they're doing 3D concrete. So, but it does say in those codes that you can ask for whatever you need to feel comfortable, which is usually engineering. Anything that you're not comfortable with, you'll just ask for engineering drawings and calcs, and you'll cross-reference with your city engineer and make sure everybody's comfortable, which is the route we're going to move forward with. Other than that, that's all that council meeting had for development services. I did want to bring to the board's attention, we are trying to move forward with substandard structures again. The board has 5 places on it, and it's a quasi-judicial board, which means everybody has to be there. So there's also 8 alternates that are available for call if someone cannot make it to one of those meetings. If the commission's interested to putting your name in the hat, we're trying to fill the board, or if you know of anybody that may be interested. The meetings do not happen often, and they can happen at any time. You'll get plenty of notification when it does happen. We're averaging maybe 1 a year, if even. It costs the city a lot of money to run these meetings, and could potentially cost the city a lot of money to tear down the structure. So it takes a lot of time. With the private property rights that citizens have, there's a lot of notifications and a lot of time that they're given before you can even get them to this board. But we have a couple that are ready to move forward. Now we need to get people on the board so that way we can actually have a hearing.
When does the building standards board meeting take place?
It could take place at any I believe we were doing it on Tuesdays, if I can recall. But it's whoever's appointed to that board will reach out to them and find out availability, because people have to be available. Like I said, it's quasi judicial, so everyone has to be in attendance, including your city attorney.
What are your desired qualifications for?
City resident is
And
your
what will they
qualification.
do again?
So what that board does is they'll hear a case of a structure. The city will present its case, and then the defendant, if they choose to show up, will present their case. And what the board will do is make two determinations. The first is if the structure is substandard or not. If it is substandard, then they'll give a timeline to fix that structure or demolish it. And the max timeline they can give, I believe, is 90 days. But that's what the board will do. So you'll act as a quasi judicial, and you'll make that determination. And your ruling is final. I believe if they appeal it, it would have to go to district court.
And at this time, you're how many seats short of full?
Well, we haven't appointed anybody, so it's an empty board. I've had a couple. I think I've had 3 that are interested in reappointing.
So up to 8?
We need 2 more for the places alone, and then we need 8 alternates if we're going to have a
wow.
completely full.
Three alternates.
Well,
Five
there's
appointments,
no,
8
there's
total.
there's 5 places and there's 8 alternate positions. We only had 3 last time, I believe. We need at least a few alternates because we've had to make calls before where someone got sick the day of the meeting, because there's a lot of time in between the notification and when the meeting actually has to happen, because you have to notify the defendant in due process. So we've actually had cases where we have to call alternates. But if it were a full board, that's what you'd be looking at. Is
Say
5 places.
on and 8 alternates.
Right. And I believe we have 3 names in the hat.
What makes them substandard or not?
Well, so there's a checklist that is provided by your property maintenance code that is referenced by cities to make a determination. They'll talk about if if the structure is leaning, if there's foundation issues, ingress egress issues. Yeah, secured. I mean, it's a long laundry list. I think there's like 18 bullet points on it of what makes it substandard. So what staff will do is we take that checklist out there. That's the first thing we'll do, and we'll fill out that checklist. We'll then send a notice to the owner saying, we think you have a substandard structure, because I cannot make the determination if it's substandard or not. I can only tell them I believe it is. And then that board, if they want to.
In the past, they've gotten a warrant to go in and inspect after. If you think it's substandard, you can get a warrant to go in and inspect to determine.
You could. It's not. You typically don't need a warrant to tell if it's substandard or not. But you could if you have one that's.
If you needed to go on the property or in the property.
Yeah.
You couldn't make the determination from the street.
Right. In all of our cases, it's always been you can make the determination from the street because.
Most of the abandoned homes been sitting for a while.
Yeah, you'll go after abandoned homes all the time because there's some. I believe if you go after a structure someone's living in, then you're responsible to place them somewhere and board them until they can find another location to live in.
Any questions on his report from council?
Yes. The 750. That is. What was that about? The cleaning fee.
That is what it actually costs the city to perform the inspections for vacant commercial structures once a month. So it'll include myself doing the inspections, and as well as a police officer. And then it also includes what the inspection would cost for myself, and then we're using Spencer Schneider as our building official currently to go out there and actually inspect the building once they register. Because once we're in there inspecting the building, we have the right to be able to require them to hire a structural engineer if it's necessary to determine if it's a safe structure.
Any questions about the 3D neighborhood? Any questions about the Building Standards Committee?
I have one about the court complaints. I see one came off the. Is it South 908 or North 108? 908?
Yeah, we can talk about that when we get to the code report.
Okay.
We'll talk about that.
Okay. We'll move on then. Action items. Number 2, review and approve the minutes from the meeting on November 18th, 2025. Should be under the first tab in your handout.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Motion made and seconded that we approve the minutes, pass them on, and those in favor, right hand. All right. Motion made, seconded, and approved. Number 3, receive the monthly code enforcement report. Uh-oh, he's taking a big drink of water. This will be under the second tab in your handout.
Okay, so for our November report, in our current fiscal year, if you can recall, we started in October. We're currently at 3 trash cases, 1 high grass, and then 12 other cases. Most of those other cases are signage violations that were sent out in October. Most, if not all, I believe one of them has not been resolved, but most have been. In that breakdown of what's happened so far, 9 of them have been closed out / completed. 1 is in court, and then 6 remain open due to the timeline that they're allowed to have. A lot of those violations that were on your October report were sent out like 2 days before October was over, and those people have called for extensions, which is why they've remained open. If you're curious on why it still says 6.
Kind of wondered, yes.
As far as the breakdown for year to month comparison, just so you can kind of see how code enforcement trends. In 2023, we sent out 10 notices. In 2024, we sent out 6. And in 2025, we sent out 3. I broke that down further in case you're curious what the violations were. So you see in November 23, you kind of have an even split of trash, high grass, and then miscellaneous cases. 2024, it is an even split. And then in 2025, you can see high grass season's over earlier than it usually is, or people are just cutting their grass and maintaining it really well. But you do have 2 miscellaneous cases, which were not signage this month. I do not recall off the top of my head what these miscellaneous cases were. Sometimes a miscellaneous case will be a couple violations combined. So every once in a while, it'll be like a high grass and trash and debris. Instead of listing 1 and 1 that your numbers are wrong, I'll put it in the other, just so it's still your numbers match. But it wasn't one of those. I can't recall off the top of my head what those were about. As far as the court complaints, you'll see a lot of them came off because a lot of them did comply because court held initial appearance a few weeks ago. And a lot of people will comply before they have to come see the judge.
How often is that court held? Is it like,
Yeah, I believe it's once a month. As far as initial appearance, if they move past initial appearance and they actually schedule a trial, they don't hold it every month because they don't have trials every month. But as far as the complaints, the 2 that remain open is 213 Ford, which is an unauthorized land use. There's an RV that someone's living in out there. And then there is 717 Morrison, which I believe may have complied, but I have not had a chance to go out there and look at it yet. But they had high grass and weeds.
Question. So, if you have a high grass complaint or whatever going on and the winter comes and the grass goes down, do it just disappear or how does that handle?
Well, we usually we keep them open. Because it has not been cut, and when the spring comes back, it will grow. There has been a few times, there's one property specifically that I can think of on San Andreas that was in court for high grass, and the grass has died to the point where there's really no grass there anymore. So I've closed out the violation because there is no more high grass. It all died. But usually it remains open.
I had a question on the signs. I remember, this is before my time here, but the store down there that sells the chicken now, they got a, I guess, approval for their sign. So it looks like it's or coming on its way down, like it's not going to stay up there very much longer. If it does fall or if it breaks or whatever, do they have to reapply to get it? Because it's not where, or it's too high originally, right? From
Well, actually, it would meet your code now. At the time that the code was adopted for signage, you could not have a sign that went above the roof line
that's right,
at all.
That's right.
And their problem was it was about 2 foot over. So we changed the ordinance to say,
Okay.
I think it's either 2 or 3 that we said, and they would actually meet it. So the way that would work is it's a variance for that sign only. So if it were to fall, then they can't just put another sign up that's 2 foot above. But since we changed our code, it now meets the code.
Yeah, it looks like that sign weighs more than what they have bolted on the roof. It's kind of pulling it off.
Where's this, Nathan?
Right there,
This is where the old Squirt Burger was,
yeah.
right across from Pizza Hut.
Any other questions regarding the code enforcement report?
There was a question asked before from Ms. Flores, and the 222 South FM 487 is the abandoned nursing home.
That's right.
That is been removed from the list, but they will be back on your list next month, because what we've done is we've gone after 2 years worth. We've had 2 years of non-compliance essentially with vacant commercial structures. So a lot of folks that have had a vacant commercial structure and hasn't changed ownership are going to be in court for the 2024 year and the 2025 year. So you'll see a lot of those. It's going to be such a long list, I might not put it on the report just because it's going to take up about a page. I think it's about 19 properties that are going to court for this. But I'll see what that looks like, and if it's too much, then I'll just give you the number of how many are in court, and if you want more information.
Any areas that we need to look at as far as planning and zoning ordinance go?
Well, I have an ordinance amendment coming up that we'll talk about. It's some minor changes, and we can discuss further if there's any other changes you want to make. I think the biggest issue right now isn't an ordinance per se. It's just getting the compliance, because if you can set up an ordinance, right, where you have inspections that are required and annual registration, but if they don't comply, we can't get in the building to inspect it upon that registration unless we were to get a search warrant. But if you get a search warrant, then you have to specifically list what you're looking for. So we need to get compliance to our court system so that way the ordinance can then start to work. That's where we're at with this.
Number 4, receive the monthly Development Services Department report.
Okay, this has been a pretty slow month for permitting, which it typically happens. It slows down for cities around the holidays. So we've issued 4 building permits this month, 2 electrical and 5 plumbing. In those building permits, none of them were new homes this month, but they did add around $42,000 of estimate and improvements for roofing and fencing and things of that nature. With that, that's the report. You'll see the breakdown I've kept of the year. You'll have 1 more month worth of that in that table of the building permits 2025, and then it will start over. Because permitting doesn't follow the fiscal year, it actually follows the calendar year.
So your estimate on value added is by the actual cost or projected cost of the project, or?
Is the estimate cost. So your contractors, when they come in and pull a permit, you'll ask them to give you an estimate cost, and they will provide you that cost, and then you total those.
So your numbers here don't match the chart down here, I don't believe.
They,
You have 4 down here, 4 other building permits.
right, so this chart is only for new home permits, demolitions, and other building permits. None of the building permits were demolitions or new homes. That's why there's only 1 line. Yeah, I believe they're all like fencing and roofing permits, real minor work this month.
So there are 4 of those plus the 5 plumbing, 2 electrical, and 4 building.
Right.
Speaking of plumbing, if you need to repair or even install a sprinkler system in your yard, do you require a permit, or does
A sprinkler system does require a permit.
How about repairs? Like, say now, like, it's gonna start freezing overnight, and then someone unwrapped their backflow valve on their sprinkler system and it busts. You have to get a permit to replace that?
That's a minor repair.
Okay.
Yeah, for plumbing work, it'd be replacing segments of your line or the whole line. It wouldn't be like patchwork. That would require permits.
And then page 2, you've added,
I don't have anything else on my development services report. I do have a yearly report, if that's what you're referring to. You're right, yeah, your meeting stats. But that's it for my development services. Hasn't changed anything. Just your numbers change.
oh, I was at Development Services. All right then, any other questions? Receive the annual Planning Commission year-end report. Oh, I see what happened. That got,
So this was your chair's idea a couple years ago. I believe you presented this to council. And so I've just kind of kept it up since then, just so you kind of know what you've been up to, because a lot of meetings pass and you may forget all of the hard work you've done. So the number of meetings you've had is 17 this year, which I believe includes this meeting. You've done 9 ordinance amendments. A couple of those have been rezone requests. You amended the accessory structure ordinance. You changed how conditional use permitting works. You've required conditional use permits for storage warehouses. You added personal professional services in. You changed your sign ordinance. We changed home occupations because of state law. And then this meeting, we're going to be changing the vacant commercial structure ordinance potentially. In that, you've done 13 plats between all of that, and you've held 18 workshops discussing those ordinances, the zoning ordinance as a whole, and then, of course, your street workshop that you've been working on. You've also, I put in here in your summary that you've actually sworn in 4 new commissioners this year, and you retained 3 of those. So you had Bud in March, Dustin in April, and then Nathan in July.
strike that out of the report.
So it's been a very busy year for you guys.
It has.
With a lot of turnover. And so with that, that's the report, unless you have any questions on those numbers. I just like to give those to y'all so y'all know how much hard we put in.
That's your year in review, guys. That,
Seems like we've met more than that. Just feels like, thank you for doing this, though.
yeah, I think,
Well, you can just you may forget some of those, because some of those when I was writing them out, I forgot. Like, man, I'm with Jones. Like, this just feels like so long ago, because it feels like we meet all the time. But y'all do a lot for the city, and it's greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
say it one more time. All right, number 6. Consider and take any necessary action on a recommendation to the city council regarding an ordinance amendment to chapter 3 building regulations, section 3.12 commercial properties for vacant commercial property registration requirements.
Okay, as you can recall, we've already gone forward with amending the fees that we are doing. And I mentioned to you that we put 2 years worth of court. Those fees that they were set up are actually great deals for those folks because it's under $750 for both of them. The first year was $100 plus a $50 inspection, so most people are paying $150. And then the second year is $500 with a $50 inspection, so they're paying $550. So they've gotten deals if the council amends that fee schedule at their next meeting. In doing that, I reviewed the commercial structure ordinance, and I have it's fairly minor changes, but we can discuss however much you would like to discuss. I have a red line version if you like to see what changed. If you prefer clean copy, then it should be after the red line version in your packet. A lot of it was grammatical that I've changed. But I want to talk about the bigger items in case you guys have questions. So if you look, it should be on, if you're on the page where it says 3.12031 definitions, you should be able to flip that page to section 3.12.033 registration required. And one of the changes I made is a continuing theme in your vacant ordinance that seem to not need to be mentioned, and I'll kind of explain why. I've removed the clause that this subsection is not applicable to single-family residential structures. The reason I removed that is because later on in your ordinance, you have an exemption section, and you say single-family structures don't have to register, and they don't have to pay a fee, which is fine. The other part of it, the reason it needs to be removed is the title of section 3.12 is commercial properties, and residential and commercial are inherently different. So there's not a need to state that, because it's a section that doesn't refer to residential structures anyways. So to put that clause in there it doesn't need to be stated.
It's redundant.
It-
It's
right.
really not in commercial at all.
Right, it's not a commercial, so it doesn't need to be in there anyways. So I've just removed it, but as you said, it's a redundant, like it's a given that it doesn't have to do that based on what you say later in your ordinance plus what your title of this section is. Another one, if you flip the page over, we're still in subsection B. It's going to be number 7. It talks about a vacant building plan. We used to require them to update it every 6 months. The logic behind that was we're supposed to do an inspection every 6 months of the structure. So at the time, they would update their vacant building plan. What I've run into with the folks that have complied, which has not been a lot, is what they'll tell you is they're selling the building. That's their vacant building plan. Very rarely do I get we're going to remodel it in this month, which I've gotten, and it hasn't turned out to be the truth. And there's not a way for me to verify that when we get it, nor are we going to penalize them if they lie on their vacant building plan because they're registering the building anyways. So in staff's opinion, there's no need to require it every 6 months. Just require it when they turn in the application that they'll give you their building plan and accept it at that time.
Run it by me again a little slower.
So,
Okay.
when they're saying we're gonna sell it, does that, keep them from having to register?
No. No matter what their plan says, it's still a vacant structure, so they're registering. The only time they wouldn't register is if they are actually using the building in a use subject to your allowed use table. They have active water and they have electrical services. Then they're not vacant and they wouldn't be registering anyway, so we wouldn't require a plan.
Their plan might include that we have a contracted tenant that's supposed to move in 3 months or 6 months.
Yeah. I think I've gotten one of those, and it's to the point, I mean, they can give us whatever their plan is. There's not going to be a penalty for them lying about the plan, so there's not really a reason for them to keep giving you a plan outside of when they give you their application.
And they may not be lying, they may just be mistaken.
Market may be soft at that time or something.
This is their plan and it doesn't come to fruition.
Right.
Right.
We never did proceed on the, this in case of emergency contact on the building or this.
That is in there, and that hasn't changed. But yes, you have an emergency contact, and I believe you require them to be local. I know you have a local contact as well.
Yeah, I know we worked on that.
And it's on the application, and I have not touched that.
Yeah.
That's still in there. They have to provide that, and everybody that's complied has provided that they do have a local contact. Some other language I added that, just for the record, I put or their designee in the language just
Yeah.
in case you have any titles that change or you can't fill a position at the moment that somebody else can handle this for the city. Any other changes? If you're in section, okay, here's another change. So if you flip the page of 3.12.034 registration fees. One of the major changes, there's a section in here, and I may have passed it already, that says when we send out a notice, they have 90 days to comply, which is how we've always operated with this. But you have another section in the 3.12.034 that says that annual registration fees shall be due and postmarked no later than January 31st. The reason I've taken that out is because sometimes your 90 days doesn't match that. I'll give you the example. We send out vacant commercial structures at the beginning of the year. So if you're going to give them 90 days, then they have until March. Okay? If you're going to say it's due by January 31st, then you need to send out your notice earlier. But you're tying the city's hands by saying that they had to send it out by a specific date to make 90 days. So we have to hold on to it until 90 days, and then we can send it. So if we send it on October 1st, and you count the math to January 31st, which is the other day that you'd send it, you'd either send it at the start of your fiscal year or the start of the calendar year. So if you send it at the start of the fiscal year, it's still more than 90 days to January 31st. And if you send it at the start of the calendar year, then January 31st is less than 90 days. Are we following what I'm saying? So we've taken it out just so you don't bind the city to something that doesn't need to bind the city to for whatever reason. So I've just removed it. In subsection B of 035, I just took out the single family clause in there. In 036, I removed a sentence that just basically says you're encouraged to report any vacant structure to the code official. Because that really shouldn't be in an ordinance. That's just a, for lack of better words, a wishful thinking. I mean, that's something that, like a policy that you'd hope somebody does. It's not binding. The last major change I made was to your section of 3.12038 exemptions. What I did in that is the way it read before is that you had to meet every single one of these requirements to have your fee waived for 12 months. And what the requirements are is you had a building that suffered some sort of weather damage. Then the property owner also had to be determined as indigent, I hope I'm saying that right, by the judge. And then you also had to have a building permit on the property. What I changed in that, instead of meeting all of the requirements, you just have to meet any of the requirements. So if your structure gets caught on fire, then you have 1 year where we won't make you pay the registration fee. If you have a building permit, then for 1 year, we'll let you not pay the registration fee. Or if you're deemed as indigent by the judge, then you have 1 year where you don't have to pay the registration fee. Instead of having to meet all of the requirements, you just only had to meet one of them, which I believe was the intention. It was just written as all, unless the commission feels otherwise, and it should be all. It just seemed that that was real specific.
Sounds good. Right?
You got your thinking cap on.
Yeah, I think,
It could be either way. I mean, because if you're going to say all, it's just hard to get an exemption, which if that's the city's intention, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that intention. It just, when I was reading it, it seemed that you meant 3 different scenarios. And so that's why I changed it to say any of them, any of the below.
separate it out.
Right, to separate it. So if I'm not,
Okay.
maybe my building catches on fire, but the judge isn't going to say I'm indigent, well, you'll still give me an exemption for 1 year only. Instead of my building has to catch on fire and I have to be indigent and I have to have a building permit to get an exemption.
Got it. It sounded odd, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, when I read it, that's why I made that change. But I wanted to bring that up because maybe it was the planning commission's intention to make it to where you have to meet all those requirements to get a fee waiver. I could not remember when we changed it the first time, so I just went ahead and changed it to say any of the below.
And what do you need from us?
Well, I need your thoughts. That is the ordinance amendment. It's minor, but there is some elements changing in it that you may have concerns over. You saw this the first time. I know this isn't a zoning ordinance that you typically review, but since you reviewed it the first time, I thought it was necessary that you review it the second time. And so that's why it's brought before you again.
Take it away, Joan. I saw you with your red pencil out.
No, I don't have a red pencil.
Charlie?
I think it sounds fine. Thorough as usual.
Throwing the ball back in your court.
Well, I need a motion so I can send this to council as is.
I make a motion that you send this to council as is.
I second that.
Motion's made, motion seconded, all in favor, carrying it on to council. Right hand, motion made, seconded, and carries. All right, woo-hoo! Here we go.
All right. Shanna's going to pull up the presentations. I think we're about halfway through the failing streets, if that makes you feel any better or any worse. I think we're about
Halfway through
halfway.
what?
The failing streets
Okay.
only.
Failing.
But the failing streets are the
failing.
most important because when we make the list, I'm making the assumption that that's probably going to be your highest priority streets because they're the worst condition streets. But I think you've done about 20, and I think you have 20 left. If
Oh, wow.
I typed it a long time ago, because every time after your meeting, I go into a spreadsheet and update what your scores are. And I think when I wrote it out, you're like right at halfway. You have the
So
clicker?
do you have faith that we're gonna make the February?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we can push through it. You have the and if not, we'll be extremely close. Okay. So we are on Houston, which is one of the longer ones that we'll have to do on the failing street. So my apologies ahead that this is what we're starting out on. Do y'all need the light off to see anything on this side, or are we good?
I'm good. What?
I can see it.
Oh,
Okay.
Renee.
Oh, now that's a little hard.
Oh,
I think I can get it, Charlie.
there, that's,
Okay, if you don't know where Houston is, it's a north to south street right by Belton,
Right by us.
right by Joan, yeah. It's a fairly long street. There's a lot of 100 blocks in here, so we'll get into those together. But just in case you didn't know where it is, that's where it's located. Those are the 100 blocks that we'll get into. You'll see that not every 100 block is failing.
I had a note on there, one end wasn't even paved and the other one was paved.
Yeah, I think so. I think when you get to the very end of it, it turns into gravel. Because then it curves into Isaac, which is next, and that's gravel as well. But anyways, I just wanted to point that out. Not every 100 block on here is failing, but if you total them all together, then there's more failing than poor. I think it's 4-to-3 ratio. In the 100 block, you have service loss. You have a mixture of old chip seal / a dirt road. That could also be a comment that your chip seal is just so worn down it's turned into a dirt road.
Yeah.
And then you also have potholes.
And where is the 100 block?
The 100 block is going to be on the south end. So the more you go north, the higher your block is going to get. So if you're in the 100 block, you're right here. If you wanted to repair the road with only the overlay, it's a little over 10,000, and then if you're going to repair it with some base repair in that, it's right about 15.5. This is the picture of the 100 block taken in October of 24. You can see there's some chip seal elements to it, but it's mostly dirt out there as well.
I also had a note on that street that there's a signage in there that's turned 90 degrees. Somebody's,
Oh, okay. And I will say, if you ever see signage that's either messed up or missing, call us because we put service orders in to fix those. As long as it's ours and not TxDOT's. Most of the time it's going to be ours, though. In your 200 block, this is one of your poor blocks, not a failing block. You have the longitudinal transverse and alligator cracking. You have pavement shifting at the intersection of Cameron, potholes, edge feathering, and then some rutting occurs. If you wanted to repair with just an overlay, a little over 12. Base repair included, a little over 18. This is a picture of the 200 block. You can see there on where the date is, the different types of cracking that you'll see. You'll see elements of alligator. Kind of hard to see, but you can see it right in here of why we made those comments. And then here's another picture of the 200 block. And then that's Jones right there, if you're curious. The 300 block, another poor block. Same type of cracking, has potholes, edge feathering, and patch failure occurring in this block. This is a longer 100 block, which is the reason why your overlay is 38.5. If you added base repair in there, then you're looking at almost 59. And this is the block. I believe the 300 block goes all the way to the end. I believe, but you can see the alligator cracking here on the bottom portion of the picture.
being right there, how can we justify just putting an overlay on that?
Well, in my opinion, and I'm not a street expert, like I said, I did a class before I started this project. Let me make sure this works. Okay, good. And the number one thing that they made a stickler about is if you see alligator cracking, then you have some sort of base problem.
Right.
And if you just overlay on top of it, you can do that. But if you can recall, I showed you an image, and I don't remember what the word was for it, but when you had the same cracking pattern underneath it, I think it's called reflective cracking. And if you ever seen the highway, they'll do it sometimes where they'll do an overlay, and then you immediately see them with tar all over the lines, and so you just see a whole bunch of tar on the road. That's reflective cracking, which means you had some sort of base problem. and all you did was overlay it, which is a very quick fix, very cheap fix compared to what a base repair is, but you're going to spend your time out there continually fixing the cracking. So
Is that a real important meeting in there?
I assume so.
I was gonna get Gerald to give us
Yeah,
his expectations.
and it's one of those, you know, if the funding that presents itself, if you can only do an overlay and not a base repair, then sometimes that's a better alternative than nothing,
Right.
depending on what your condition of the street is. Even though you know it's not going to last that long, but the street may be in such disrepair, we can't afford a base repair, we should still do something at the moment to give this a fix. You'll see that happen. A lot of cities will do that.
How long,
After here, go ahead, John.
but how long would you expect an overlay to last?
Well, if there's no base repair, then an overlay, I believe, lasts 10 to 15 years.
It will?
But if it's got that,
But if it has base issues, then it's all just determines how big your base issue is. If you have a major base issue problem, then you'll see the reflective cracking happen a lot more quickly. If it's just a minor issue, then it'll take a little bit longer for it to reflect through.
And the only reason is now we're learning this. This is all still new to us.
So am I.
And we have a finite number that we're gonna have available first couple of years for sure.
Right.
And so now I'm learning that you almost, on these streets, because of the category they're in, they almost all have to be considered at the repair the base level.
Right. These are going to be mostly your base repair streets. I think all of them are really, in my opinion. Again, I'm not a street expert, so someone could come in here and say, you know, Ben's completely wrong. I will not refute that. But in that, that's going to be a staff determination and city council, because what you're doing is you're going to give a recommendation of these are the streets. You don't even really have to worry about the funding. You can just say these are the streets in the order of we think they should be repaired in.
Okay.
And then the council will take that, and they'll either accept that, they'll add whatever they would like to add to that, remove, alter, however they want to handle that. It's a staff function to make that funding work. So if the idea is you approve a list, we go down that list, and if we can only afford from A to B, then you're going to do A to B, and then C is going to be next. Unless something happens, like a water line busts and breaks the road like it did over on Post Oak. If something like that happens, I mean, that's the idea of the list. It's not for you to hash out exactly what the funding is going to be and to make that work.
But we
It'll
have
be
to
a
kind
staff.
of be aware though a little bit.
Yes, you just need to be aware of what it
it's hard
costs.
to not think about that.
Right.
You
But
have
that's more of a
500,000.
staff. That will be a public works function, city manager function
Okay.
of making that funding the best bang for your dollar, determined from the list that you receive from council
Okay,
to make
makes
that
sense.
work. It's not your job to make sure that the funding works. You're looking at the funding for you to say, is it really worth it? Depending on the traffic volume we get and how many residents this road services. That's more of why I'm giving you the funding, not for you to make that determination of we don't have the money to do it or we do.
Moving right along, Ben.
Now we're into the 400 block. Again, another poor block. They had longitudinal and transverse cracking. Alligator cracking was just beginning to form in this block. They do have potholes and edge feathering occurring as well. If you were to repair the 400 block, it's a lot less in square foot than the 300 block, which is why the pricing came out this way. You're looking at a little over $17,500 for just a mill, an overlay, base repair included, almost $27,000. This is a picture of your 400 block. It's a little hard to tell in the image, but maybe you can kind of see it. There is some alligator cracking starting to form right in this area, but it is hard to tell.
Is that across the street or is that the end of the street?
This is across the street. So in this last image, if you were looking, that house that you'll see in the next picture is right over here.
Yeah.
So if we go this way,
Go
This-
to
this
go
is
to
the house.
Beginning. Go to the beginning map.
so this is the 400 block. Right as you cross the road, the house I was pointing out is this house right here.
Oh yeah.
So this is the 400. Yes, the home program house is right on San Andreas, right next to it. So those are your images. If we get into 500 block, that's when we get back into what staff's opinion is some failing blocks. You have the longitudinal and transverse cracking. Alligator cracking is beginning to form, but you have a lot of patch failure in this area. With just an overlay, a little over 16, base repair included, a little under 25. Here is an image of that. And then this is why we put it as failing, and we got it in the pictures. This patchwork right here is really bad. And it's almost to the point where I wonder if that's where some of the water's running off, maybe. But I don't know.
Isn't there,
Because the way it's just eroding that.
isn't there like a, I don't know, it seems like on that street there's like a creek that goes to, and there's something that, like a polymer or something on the ground that water goes through. Is that on that street, or is that a different one?
There is another one. I know, because are you talking about the one where there's a significant, almost
Yeah.
like a...
That's on a street
Yeah,
that.
we did that street already, but that's
Yeah.
on
Intersects. That's Houston, right?
Alfred, I believe. But yes, there is that. Houston also has that issue. I think I put it in the notes. I think it's going to come up in a 100 blocks, but there's another, almost like another pavement shift. Yeah, this one, the 600 block. So you have longitudinal and transverse cracking this block, alligator cracking starting, surface loss, edge feathering, and then,
There it is
as you
at the
said,
bottom.
you have a drain. I said a drain-like installation because I'm not sure what the intention was, if it's actually a drain or if it's just a pavement shift. But it's about 3 to 6 inches above what your grade is. Acts almost as a speed bump. If you were to fix with just an overlay, a little over 10, base repair included, a little under 16. This is a picture of your 600 block, and that's what I'm referring to. You can tell it's a little bit above the grade.
Is that what you were thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
In the 700 block, you have pothole surface loss, and then you also have substandard width. If you were just to overlay it, it's $10,000, and then a repair with the base is a little over 15. And then I didn't get the greatest picture of it, but most of the 700 block is, as Chair Williams said, it's this dirt road here. I believe part of this they're saying is 700 block, but really 700 block goes up and then curves into Isaac, which is just strictly gravel road at that point, which is why we put it on failure. Which is why there weren't that many comments as well, because there's not a lot of comments to make about a gravel road. If you're gonna do the whole street of Houston together with only an overlay, we think it's gonna cost you about $115. If you added the base repair in it, then we think it's gonna cost you right around $176.
And for the sake of learning, you've got a dip, you've got a hump, and you got a bump. There's no reason to say, let's just go overlay it, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I hope you wouldn't, but like,
Yeah.
again, I mean, sometimes all you can do is put a Band-Aid on at the moment, and then you'll actually stitch it up later. But yes, the intention is you'd hope that if they're actually going to do Houston, specifically that 100 block, that they would. If that bump is not needed, then you'd hope they'd remove it. If it is needed, then you would hope they'd bring the grade up to that level so it doesn't act as a speed bump.
You might need a speed.
You know, most roads connected, you wanna do them all at the same time, but then that one is divided by, like, the highway, and is that possible to just do one section?
You could. You could. The way you want to do your roads, and I'll go back to the map to best explain this. The idea is a lot of your fees is the mobilization to get them out there. So what Commissioner Miles is saying is if you just took this section, you did it all together, it'd be a better price than to just 100 block it. But you don't, since you're doing this section, you don't necessarily have to do that section, which is absolutely true. You don't have to. The only other comment I'd make to that is if you're going to do a section like Houston, if you had the funding, you would try to add more roads into there. So we're about to get into Isaac. So you would take Houston and you would finish Isaac with it as well because it's all in the same area. You're not having to pay for them to mobilize to go all over the place. The worst thing you can do is do a couple 100 blocks of Houston
Oh,
and then say, okay, and now we're going to go over to...
y'all gonna have
Wilcox.
to really force me to do that. I know.
But again, that's
Yeah.
That is a staff function.
Yeah.
When we get that list from the city council to approve the CIP and that listing, it's up to your staff to ensure that it's done in the best manner possible.
And I understand, like on Post Oak where we had the rupture of the water line or
Right.
stuff, you know, like, there are some
Yeah, and you'll have
repair
elements of
works
that.
supersede, but
You'll have elements of that you'll have to go to locations because something happens. Long streets like this, and we'll get into Murray at some point. Those streets are so long. Unless you get a grant, you're not doing it all at the same time. So that's normal. The longer streets, you only be able to do portions. You would just hope that you can get the most bang for your buck. That if you're going to do a portion and it ties into another failing road, that maybe you do that as well. So that way you're not paying them later to do Houston, and then you pay them 2 years later to go to Isaac if you thought they were both the same priority. If they're not the same priority, completely different thing. Because if you don't believe, we'll just keep using Isaac as an example. Isaac doesn't have a lot of traffic. So if it's not that high of an importance compared to like a Houston, then you do Houston and you leave Isaac for later because it's just, there's higher priority streets.
so I'm pretty safe on going to rating on the first 4 lines again,
Okay.
a 5.
Now on the traffic impact, you have Jones Business that fronts it. I believe that's, and then you also have a church. And I don't know how active that church is.
It is.
But the rest of it is residential, which you have a significant amount of residential out there along Houston. So-
Also take into consideration, there's a lot of traffic on the block that our property is. But I think people cut over, they're coming in on Belton and they're zooming down Houston to get to Cameron.
To avoid the highway maybe? To avoid the traffic on the highway maybe?
I guess, yeah.
Because it's been backed up on the highway a lot.
Yeah.
lately,
A
so
lot.
maybe a lot of people.
With
Well,
that being
Houston-
said, I'm at a 3. What are you thinking? Is it more than moderate, less than moderate?
Then you have them homes in the back on the other, 700?
You have, I mean, they front Belton, but you can get to Belton from Houston, which you're talking about Hunter's Chase and Los Robles Manufacturing Home Park. All fronts on Belton, but
What's
you
my
can
option?
get to Houston.
What were you saying, moderate?
I'm with what you were saying. It's 1 is minimal, 2 is minor, 3 is moderate, 4 is large, and 5 is significant.
This is on which one?
I'd say between moderate and above,
Which one is this?
3.5.
at all hours.
This traffic impact?
Yes, traffic impact.
3.5 or what?
I'm with that.
Okay.
I get an okay from down the hall.
The number of blocks, I believe there's 7 of them, correct? Yes, there's 7 of them. Okay.
So that's
So that'll put you at a 4 on that one.
yes.
And then your environment, do you want to go light density or do you want to do medium density?
That's another 3.5 on me. It's in between the two. So say something.
Agree.
Yeah.
3.5.
Okay. The importance of the repair, year-wise, what do you think, roughly? Is it something that needs to be like one of your first streets, which would be a 1 to 2 year, or can it keep waiting and waiting? I know. I will say
We
this.
do it by block. I mean, there's a couple of blocks in there that,
It's just kind of all together.
okay.
If
Now,
there's
because of what you were saying, I
If
understand.
there's blocks that need attention, then there's blocks that need attention. I'll just say, I think the highest y'all have gone is a 3.
I was gonna say.
So at some point, there's gonna be some streets that I think are gonna be 3 to 4 to 1 to 2.
Yeah.
This could be one of them. It could not be one of them. I'm not trying to persuade you. I'm just throwing
Sway
that
me
out
one
there.
way or the other. I'm stuck at 3.
We just get a lot of tourists that goes to that area, and we just had one that was a lawyer firm that pretty much told everybody that was competing for the job about that place over there. And then I know some people that come here and they'll stay here before they go to any hotels anywhere else
Yeah.
outside the city limits.
Oh, yeah.
It
So
seems
it's
like
very
anytime
historical and-
I meet anybody that's on any type of contractual work or they're interim something or another, and like, where you staying at? Rainbow Courts. Okay. Well, I know the owner of that one.
And then coming off the highway, the look, I mean, we trying to better, so I go on more on the high end.
And because our driveway entrance is rather narrow, the way TxDOT did it, they will use Houston Street to come in, which is, that happens a lot.
You can't vote.
And I advise
You
them.
gotta stay out of this.
I'm
This
just
is a
giving
conflict. You
facts.
can't vote at all on this. You just,
I'm just giving facts.
She
well,
can't. She
still,
can.
give me a number. Give me a number.
What was yours?
He said 3.
I was trying to get off of 3 one way or the other. Y'all just tell me. 3.5 is fine with me, or which is better? Yeah.
Well, the only thing that I'm just throwing out there is you've only put 3s or lower. So if we only put 3s or lowers, then you're essentially saying that we don't need to do anything for 5 years on any of these streets. Because remember, these are your worst streets. So, you know, you might have some higher priority pours because Murray's in poor, I think, which is like, you know, a more traffic road. It might be a higher priority. I'm just throwing it out there. You haven't put anything at 4s and 5s. So just keep that
you
in
know
mind
what?
as
Let's
you
put
rate.
it at 4 then.
I say it because also that's another route that people are now.
Yeah,
taking
I
because of
agree
the
with what you're saying on that. That's yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't want to break it out in blocks. I want to consider this as one.
We're doing it as just a road,
Yeah,
not
Okay,
breaking out as
that's-
blocks.
Yeah.
and that's, you have to consider,
Yeah. Now,
and that's
like I
important.
said, if there's worse blocks in there and you can only afford a couple blocks, staff will figure that out. That's not something that you have to worry about. You're just grading it as the road overall. What do you think? Cost ratio, these are your prices for the whole road of what you'd be looking at. Is that way overpriced or great
lot of
value?
road.
It is a lot of road. And I'll tell the commission this. All of this is a calculation. So it really all is the same thing. The higher the price just means the more road you're doing.
Right,
The reason I put the cost relevance ratio in there is because you might have roads that have 2 houses on it. And paying $20,000 for 2 houses just isn't a good deal for the city. But if you have a road that has businesses and houses on it, then it makes a lot more
And
sense to do
first
it.
views of this visit to Rockdale is
Yeah.
if somebody's a visitor here and the roads are atrocious, it's like, man, this town, you know. So that for that very reason, it moves it up to a decent is bang for your buck to me. But I'm at decent, but y'all tell me what you think.
that is a good point. Every weekend we have people that are coming to look at property.
We're okay with decent. All right, and then the last one, your personal priority on this.
So, again, these are the worst streets, though, right?
These are the worst streets. So like I said, you're gonna have a couple of pours because I remember Murray's in poor, and I'm sure you're gonna have a higher priority on that. But for the most part, this is the worst of the worst, and then it only gets better to the point where you'll start answering these as like it doesn't need any work or it hardly needs anything.
In return for my money investment, ROR, I think it's a high priority.
Yeah, I'll go with 4.
Because all the other streets that we've had are, like you said, 2 and 3
Small,
street
yeah.
blocks, you know.
And that's what happens with a lot of your failing streets is if it's not paid, it's just failing. That's just what the opinion that I used because this is a substandard roadway lack of pavement is a reason. There may not be really anything wrong with the street. The people that it services usually is only a few people and they may not have any issue with it, but it's just in failing because it's just not paved or it has alligator cracking. It's why a lot of these fell into it, which is going to be a lot of your smaller, older streets.
Do the council get our side notes too?
What I'm gonna do for the council is they'll have a complete listing of your scores, and and you'll see it. Yeah, I mean you're gonna see this before it goes to council because you have to bless it. But what I'm gonna do is we'll most likely only get through the failing. So they'll get a list of the scores. You'll see it, and then they'll be in order of what your scores are. And then if we feel differently at that time, we can always rearrange it. The scores is just something that it allows me to put it in the list for you to make the final say if like.
And
Is Isaac really our worst street? No, and then you might move it.
the difference is we're looking at the whole city, the city as a whole, and they're supposed to kind of look at it that way, but they have to answer to some of their constituents.
Well, and I have a list from I think half the council of what their street priorities are, and so
I would imagine.
theirs can always change. I mean, they are the final say. I mean, you guys are doing a lot of the dirty work to get them a list, and then they'll look at that list and they can change it however they see fit. But the idea with this list is you only have to do it once. Once we update this thing, it's just like the spreadsheet that I made. It took me a year to do that. But I never have to do it again because it's there. All I got to do is update it. That's the idea with this list. You are putting in the work for future planning commissions that all they have to do is look at
None
this
of these streets are self-healing.
and update it. Right. And then if you repair it, like say you repair Houston, Houston just goes to the bottom of the list and everything else moves up. So that way we don't have to worry about Houston anymore for a while.
Let's go to Isaac.
We are on Isaac. If you didn't know where Isaac was,
Yeah.
right next to Houston.
Yeah.
Very small road, only services I think 3 homes, 2 or 3 homes.
Yeah.
It's not many. It's 100 block long of dirt road, which is why it's on your list. My only comments was it's a dirt road, and at the time there was really significant potholes, but the guys actually did go out there and fix the potholes, so you can remove the potholes comment. It's just a dirt road now. If you wanted to just overlay it, it's 19. If you want to do a base repair and an overlay, it's 29. Something like this would be you would lay something new, so you'd be doing a little bit of base with an overlay. And then that's a picture of it in October of 24. And it looks roughly the same.
My comment was unimproved. It's
Right, it's just an unimproved road. So since it's only 100 block long, that's your pricing for the whole street if you're going to do it. It's a longer street, that's why the price came out this way, but it is only 100 block. I'm assuming the same for the first 4, and then we'll get into traffic.
Yes.
Okay, and then traffic, again, you're talking about maybe 30 to 40 trips a day. Maybe. Depending if, those houses are actually occupied. I know at times they're not.
Unfortunately, it absolutely needs attention, but it's minimal. to me.
Minimal, it's only 1 block, so that'll be a 1. And then your environment, do you want to do minimal development because there's houses out there? Or, okay. And then your importance of the repair, in your opinion?
If we were trying to beautify Rockdale, it needs to be done, 1 to 2. But if it's in reality, I'm down
Yeah.
2 to 3, 2.5. I don't know, somewhere. Somebody talk to me. I don't know how to.
2, 'cause I was gonna say 1.
I'm good with 2.
2, okay. And your cost ratio? For what you get for it?
After seeing the other large numbers, it doesn't look so bad. You know what I'm saying? Well, that looks pretty decent.
It's
You
less
said
road.
20,000 for 2 houses is high, but this has 3 houses?
This has 3. I mean, it's all subjective. Like I said, all these numbers are the same formula. I was just saying that so you're aware. Like when the pricing comes out high, I'm not necessarily asking you like, man, that's a high price. I'm more asking you, this is what surrounds it. Is it worth paying this money, or is
ROR? Are we still talking?
is it worth using taxpayer money on this, even though it doesn't really service anybody, or is it a really good deal because it services a lot of different things and the taxpayers are going to utilize it a lot? That's kind of the idea of the question.
ROE, return on investment, ROI. Roy. What was the question, sir?
Your cost ratio. I got a 2 from Commissioner Miles.
I'll go 2.
Okay, and then your personal priority.
It can wait for sure.
Okay.
Only, and you say that, and it's actual. It says your opinion.
It's all opinion. That section is.
And there's 3 people out there saying, "Well, how come I can't get asphalt road?" So.
I know. That's the unfortunate reality, especially when you're trying to do a lot of the streets to come up with this plan. There's just going to have to be more people that are patient than others, depending what the road is.
Do y'all take complaints into consideration as well?
I mean, yes, as far as if it's something that can be repaired, then a service order will be issued. If it's something that takes a greater repair that we couldn't fix, then it would fall. The idea is it's going to fall to this list. So if we start getting say I'll just use an example. We'll just keep using Isaac because we just use it all day long. Say Isaac, we've rated it real low, but maybe we start getting 10s and 15s and 20s of calls about this street that we didn't realize all these people were using the street, then yeah, you would put that list and you would say, okay, this is higher priority. So the next year when they do the CIP, because every year they're going to adopt the CIP, capital improvements plan, of what the plan is. That's when it'll be up to your staff to say, we're getting a lot of calls about Isaac. Do you want to think about moving this up on the list? Or are you happy where it's at?
This is a weird street.
Jackson.
Yes.
Jackson is one of the few roads that actually has a
Cul-de-sac.
cul-de-sac. Thank you. Which is a plus. It is on failing. It's an asphalt road. The reason it's on failing, there is a lot of cracking out here. They also have surface loss, potholes. They have subsidence, which is gradual caving or sinking in of the ground, and then they have significant patchwork that's in failing condition. It means it's probably
My
pretty.
comments were, it looks like it was put down in 3 pours, and where the seams lapped is where it's failing. It's really a wide street culminating in a cul-de-sac, but it looks like 3 lanes.
Yeah, it's odd. It
Yeah.
is. If you were just gonna overlay it, yeah, I mean, like he said, it's a very wide street. There's a lot of pavement out there, so you're looking at 63,000. If you're gonna add in a base repair, which we think you probably should, then it's a little over 96. For the imaging, this is what he means as far as it looks like 3 different sections. Specific, this is what you're referring to.
Yes, sir.
But you can also see the patchwork. There's a lot of patchwork out here as well, and it may be because there's 3 different boards. I have no idea. But the patchwork's even failing to the point where it's just potholes again, and it's an old street.
How about the drainage in the cul-de-sac? Because when it rains, it'll flood down there.
There should be, and I know that there is one between.
Go back to your overhead.
Well, there's 2.
Right
So
there.
there's drainage here, and what happened was it was either clogged or filled or something. The city notified these 2 owners and said, we either need a wider easement to maintain this for you guys, or you have to maintain it yourselves. And they both chose to maintain it themselves, which is what has happened. But I believe the intention when this was designed is that your water would come and it would take that drain. That was the idea, and then it would take it to, I think Williams is behind here, and then it'd go to the Williams drainage system, wherever whichever way that goes, was the intention. Because we did get calls about the flooding a couple years ago, and I might not be saying this verbatim correctly, so do not quote me. But essentially, that's what happened. We needed either more easement or we needed their permission because there wasn't an easement or something along those lines, and they chose that they wanted to do it themselves, which is their right to do so.
It's simply not taking the land, but just allowing you to put drainage through there, right?
Right. So easements operate as that's usually where you'll lay your infrastructure or where you can go on the property to get to your infrastructure. So in a drainage easement world, it's a drain system. You give an easement enough so that way city workers or whomever's it is can go on the site and actually clear it, clean it, cut it, whatever. Whatever they would do to usually maintain that.
Can you go back to the map?
Pastor Brooks, that drainage easement through there, you can do it that way, or you can just pour flat concrete, or you can just have the crews come out and work it.
Right, and I don't
grant easement.
I don't remember, because it's been a while, what our fix was going to be to that problem. I'd have to ask Gerald. But I can tell you that they chose that they wanted to clean it themselves, which, again, is perfectly fine. But if there is a flooding issue, then we'd revert it to them to say, you said you'd fix it. Unless you change your mind and you want to give us an easement, then.
The low spot in that area is just on the other side of William Street. Just, if you're looking at that picture, it's just above William Street, but it's.
You're talking
up
about
there.
the north side?
Yeah,
Somewhere in there?
yeah.
Yeah, I think that there's some drainage right here that, and the intent is for it to go between these 2 houses and feed into Williams, is what it seems to,
Yes.
as the intent of how that drainage was supposed to work.
So if, question, I mean, I lived on Jackson Street right there for the last 15 years. If we repair a road there and that water comes down, and is it gonna wash away eventually if that water is settling down there at the bottom?
Mm-hmm.
So what's the solution? We're gonna spend thousands of dollars, and if it floods a few times or rain comes and
Well,
it washes away, and then we're back to.
yeah, you wouldn't. I mean, you would hope that if there's a known drainage issue that you wouldn't do that. That before you'd repair the road, you say, we really want to repair this road. We either need to get in and do this drain ourselves, and you need to change your mind and either give us more easement or whatever it was that we're asking for, or we can't put this road in because, like you said, we're spending
Yeah.
20s of thousands, 60s of thousands of dollars for this to wash away in a couple years because the water's going to hold right here. That's what you would do as a city.
And in an ideal world, you would have curbs that would help channel waters into where you wanted the water to go, into cisterns or some
Right,
kind of
right.
catch basins or whatever. But this one being a curved wide street is gonna put water behind it because it slopes towards those two houses.
It
right
does.
there.
It slopes down that way, and so there really needs to be a drainage channel to collect that. But that's what your hope would be as staff, is that they're aware of the problem before they do it. If you install it after the fact and you find out the problem, then you do your due diligence to try to fix it. And it's one of those, if they choose to not clean it themselves and it's holding water, then
So for them to clean it themselves, was that, it didn't have to do with like the cost, right, for them? Because they're just responsible for keeping the area.
I don't recall. It's just been so long. I don't remember if we were asking for additional footage to actually get in there. Because what's happening in a lot of areas in town is they give like a 5-foot easement, and at times it's just too small. I mean, we can't get what we need to get in
60-inch zero
because we
turn
can't
mower down.
right. You can't move your equipment in because you have to work by the easement. So unless they grant you permission outside of the easement, you're bound to that 5 foot, and just sometimes it's just not enough room to fit. I know it happens a lot of times when we have sewer backups. We can't fit our machine back there because it's just too small of an easement. And I think this is another one of those cases, but along those lines, it's something where they just were willing to do it themselves instead of wanting us to do it.
First 4 or 5s.
Okay, you go back to the price. That's your pricing. As far as the traffic impact, it's all single family out here. I do not know how many homes are out there, but it's a decent bit of homes. That front.
Dozen homes or more, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. This was in a great Dustin question. But it does have single family housing. Most, if not all, those houses are occupied. So it does see a good bit of traffic for single family wise. But what's your opinion on that? Minor, moderate?
How many houses?
There's at least 12 in
They're
there.
all occupied too. There's
Yeah, I think there's only one that's not on the west side of the road that I can think of because it's a code enforcement property and they don't live there.
Charlie
But I think
and Bob
everybody
and
else is
McGregor live
occupied.
on that street. Charlie and Bob and
yeah,
McGregor.
Charlie, they live up the street.
I think it's somewhere between like 12 to 15 houses, if I had to guess.
I'd take that bet, but
I just counted 19.
yeah, it's
19? Okay.
So you're talking about 190 single family trips.
so it's moderate.
Yeah. You only go in one way and out.
So you have
That's
one
a double
block.
trip. Yeah. Well,
So you have one block, so I went ahead and circled a 1 for you. On the environment, minimal density, since it's just single family. And then your importance of the repair in the commission's opinion.
I want to add something, just like Charles was mentioning earlier too, about coming in on a nicely paved road, like on Houston, get away from the highway. Like I was saying, we still own a house on Jackson Street, and when we were showing to lease, a family came from Pflugerville to look at the house. Before we even walked in the house, the first thing they mentioned was the road. I mean, honestly, I said, well, man, I don't even pay attention because, you know, I live here for the last 15 years. It's just part of life, you know. But I guess it put an impression on them. But that's not the reason why they didn't rent the house. But I'm saying that could.
Definitely.
your streets.
No,
do
Yeah.
streets 100% play an effect. Your streets and then your surrounding environment. I mean, you can have a really nice house, and if you're surrounded by substandard houses, that really nice house isn't so nice anymore.
I'm not throwing rocks at anybody, but if you've ever been into Taylor where they have their real historic old homes behind the Catholic church back in that area, through there. Beautiful homes. I'd love to go down there, but I don't have enough rope in my cinch strap to hold me in the seat. 'Cause, man, those streets are. Oh man, those streets are bad. I know. Expansive clay does that. We're lucky, really, here in Rockdale. As bad as they are, we haven't done work on them in 50 years. Really, we're the leading edge on this, and it falls on our shoulders to get a plan together here.
Yeah.
But we are playing catch up, and that's the problem.
And that's the thing with this list. I know it's extremely hard to ask you guys to sit here and give me your importance of the repair, knowing that there's 80 streets, 120 streets in our system, and half of them we know need attention. But, you know, like Chair Williams said, I mean, it's just one of those things. You got to start from somewhere, and you got to create a list so that way there's a plan moving forward, and hopefully that plan is kept as the years pass by, and whether whomever's in these seats has the same plan and they can alter it however they choose to. But as long as you set the framework, that's the intention behind this.
Yeah.
Is really you're doing the dirty work.
Which one are we on? The repair?
We're on the importance of the repair.
And this is how I look at these. Me right now, I'm still learning this game as we go. You know, can it go 10 years? I'm thinking you're going to have some major repairs in 10 years. Does it need to be in the next 3 or 4 years? Well, you would probably have less cost if you do it in the next 3 or 4 years. But really, it can probably go 5 to 7 without causing yourself real headaches. The patching part of it, maybe not, but that's how I'm looking at it. So tell me, am I looking at it wrong?
No.
Is that an angle of attack, or are we?
You can cut this steak however you choose to cut the steak.
Yeah.
So if it's a 5 to 7, it's a 5 to 7. I mean, that's completely
Yes.
your call.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a
Yeah,
wrong
but-
way to look at it.
Yeah, we got to get some different numbers in there. We're going to end up with the exact same number.
Well, and I'll
on every
tell you,
street.
on the 20 that you've done, I think they've all been different.
Okay.
So you're not, because I think the last meeting you made a comment about like we keep giving everything 3s. You haven't been. I mean, there's a lot of scores that are close, but I mean they're all going to be close because there's only a finite score that you can give them, right? And if you're on the worst, your worst are all going to be kind of around the same. But I don't think we have too many repeatings, and you'll see it on your list. But I'm fairly confident that you're not scoring everything the exact same.
If I'm trying to sell a house, I'm gonna want to score it and get it done faster. As far as traffic, you only have the residents on that road and nobody actually going through, like Mary Street or like her road over there.
Yeah, the intention of that road would not be servicing anybody other than residents on Jackson. So I mean that would be.
I'm in between 2 and 3.
But I don't know, this might not be, I guess, relevant to the streets, but the at the end of the street where it holds water or floods, would that be something that can be, I guess, cleared up or clarified with the repair of the street before? I guess like I was saying earlier, I'd hate for the street to get repaired and then it flood or whatever and wash away.
Makes it worse.
Yeah, it needs to be something that.
So do we need to reopen that with the residents there or
Well, and if they're gonna repair that street, they do. I mean, because if the residents aren't taking care of it, then something needs to be done. Because you don't want to put that, you don't want to pay taxpayer dollars on something that you know is just gonna wash away
Right.
within a couple years.
Right.
I'll add a note next to Jackson that there's drainage issues, and
was
then
gonna
that way
suggest that,
it can
a
just
side
stay on the
note that-
list. So when somebody, maybe they do the street 20 years from now, and they'll have that note that those in
Right.
there, and they can figure it out for themselves. Okay, is there still a drainage issue out here? If there is, we need to fix it before we repair the street. That's the hope. I can't promise what somebody else will do, but you can give them all the tools and hopefully they use it.
Is that water just sitting off in the grass area?
No, well,
Well, it sits in the cul-de-sac.
Yeah, it's
Like,
weird.
it
It's
On the
collects.
road.
On the
Right,
road.
because the way the road slants towards Williams, I'll go back to the map.
Yeah, it's
It
down
slopes.
here.
Right, it goes downhill. So what happens is again, there's supposed to be a drain right here that I assume goes to Williams. What happens is this drain is clogged. The residents are notified that it's clogged. They said they would handle it themselves, which is fine. But since it's still clogged, what happens is the water, instead of pushing through Williams and going whichever way Williams takes it, it sits in this cul-de-sac. And so what Commissioner Flores is saying is if we pave this cul-de-sac with the rest of the road, it's just going to wash away because the water's sitting there. Which he's absolutely right, it will. Water will eat up your road really fast.
So they have to fix the drainage before they.
A drain, yeah. So I put on here comment for drainage. I just put a star next to it, so that way when it's scored, and they choose to do that at one point, that there will be a comment for drainage, and then they can determine if there's actually still a drainage problem or not.
You just need to put a playpen close by so you get them kids running through the water. Nah.
Oh, they did. They do.
No, we used to back in the day. You get some water on the side of the road, you finna go splash that.
Okay, so on the importance of repair, I think we were in between a 2 and 3, but I don't think we decided. Or if you did, I missed it.
I think we both said in between 2
That's
and
a
3. so
2.5 to me, man.
2.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Flores?
2.5.
Your cost ratio for what you're getting. We'll go with 19 homes out there. So you're talking about 19 residents being served. Is that a decent price to do that, or do you think it's a little high, right in the middle? What do you think?
It's a big street. I'm gonna say it's a pretty decent price. If, you know,
Okay.
Yeah.
to serve that many people and.
Then your personal priority of it. Could it be in the middle of the list? Does it need to be higher on the list? Does it need to be?
I'm between 2 and 3.
I'll do 2.5 again.
Yeah.
All right,
Comfortable with that?
2.5 it is. Okay, we're gonna go to another small road named Laura. If you don't know where Laura is, it's right above Hamilton, 487. It's very small.
Green Street up to take Green it dead Hulu. Green Street
Green-
dead ends into it.
Into Laura, yeah. Yep.
Going out of town, right?
Yes. Yeah. He's on the north end of
Is
town.
that not where the house got run into,
Uh,
Close by, but
or is it Hamilton?
that house is on Hamilton. It's right.
Hamilton, yeah,
It's right here.
yeah.
How many houses are on Laura?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
But there's a really big, funny-looking house at the end.
I
of
think
Laura
that
Street.
there's 5. I think there's 4 that use Laura, and then there's Bobby Joe's house that really fronts Ackerman.
Okay.
So I think there's 4, if I can recall. It's only 100 block long. The comments I had is there's alligator cracking, edge feathering, patch failure, and then there's buckling, which means it's the change in shape due to a load. If you were to fix it with just an overlay, a little over 16, add a base repair in there, it's about 24.5. This is an image of it in January of 2025. You can see it's in pretty rough condition.
We know real traffic count since Green Street dead ends to it.
Well, you can only make the assumption of traffic count without a traffic impact analysis. All you do for your traffic count is every use of a building has a number associated
Right.
with it. Since it's single family, they say it's about 10 trips a day. Again, a trip is when you leave the house, that's 1 trip. You come back, that's another, so that's 2 trips. So they're saying there's 10 trips to your house every single day because the mailman comes and your Amazon packages come and whatever, whatnot. So, with that being said, if there's 4 houses on there, I would tell you that it's probably somewhere around 40.
Pretty low.
With that being said, do you want to keep doing the same 4 numbers for the first 4? And then move on to traffic impact, which is, do you believe that's minimal or minor?
You're telling me it's just 4 houses, we're rating it on that, it's minor.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't believe very many people turn on to Laura to get to Green. They would probably turn on Hamilton, to be quite honest with you, if they're trying to get to Green.
you only go to Laura when you're trying to find the smoke.
Uh-oh.
The fire was back there, but not too long ago. Turned it on.
It's only 100 block, so I went ahead and filled that out as to 1. Your environment, minimal development, because it's single family. Your importance of the repair?
Minimum.
So,
or two.
so a 1 or a 2? 10 plus or 8 to 10?
Yeah.
I can see one.
1, okay. Your cost ratio?
Cost is pretty good, ain't it? It's moderate. Or what?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought you were gonna say decent, and I was gonna say moderate, but since you said moderate, I'm with you on moderate.
All right, moderate, and then your personal priority of it.
2.
2.
2.
All right. Let's get to Lee. I think we have time for maybe 1 or 2 more.
Yeah, I couldn't find it. GPS kept.
Oh, really?
It couldn't even find it because
Yeah.
it didn't recognize it as a street. But go ahead.
If you didn't know where Lee was, some of us sounds like we didn't know where Lee was. It's right next. So this unnamed road right here is Rice. This is Rice, and this is
Texas.
Texas. Thank you.
Texas goes out. Yeah.
And so this is Lee. Lee is just a dirt road. You can kind of tell it's a road, but you can pass by it really fast without noticing that it's right there. There's 200 blocks in here. The reason that it failed is it is just dirt out there. So again, it's not paved, so I just put it in the failing category. 400 block, you have a dirt road. It's got potholes. There's a lot of grass in the road. And then I made the comment that it's substandard width, as in there's not 50 foot of right of way out there. Or if there is, it's not being utilized for the correct traffic lanes. But again, it's a dirt road. If you're gonna fix this with just an overlay, a little over 10, add a base repair on top of that, it's 15.6. This is a picture of the 400 block again. It's just dirt. I mean, there's not a lot to take a picture of.
Try getting an 18-wheeler back there.
And there's no houses that front it, right?
No houses on Lee, but you can see that there's just grass, just kind of gets in the road. So I made that comment.
There's no houses there?
No.
For some reason, I think.
There's an old lease back in the
Oh.
back. I've been back there with an 18-wheeler to get
Have you really?
salt water out of the tank.
Oh,
Yeah,
I was
that-
thinking it was on Hicks. Oh, so Lee has no houses. Okay, so he got them houses on the corner.
Lee
that
has
what you know?
yeah, Lee has a house on Belton that fronts Belton.
Basically,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Okay.
Lee runs right next to it. 500 block, the exact same thing. The only other comment is there is no turnaround.
Hey, that's not Lee. There's an alley. I guess it wouldn't be a street because of it.
No, that's Hicks. I think you probably think about with the houses back there. Or is Lee right
Texas
behind that
Avenue.
pasture?
Texas Avenue goes out to the church.
Yeah, it's right next to Texas.
Oh.
So
What is that right there? Right
Rice,
before?
Lee, then Texas.
No, okay. Now I see the alley right
This?
there. That's an alley. I'm thinking that's a
Yes.
street for some reason.
No, this is Google Maps does this. Sometimes alleys pop up as streets, but they're
Okay.
not. It's just an alley.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Hicks now on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is the turnaround that you were referring to when you filled up your 18-wheeler.
Yeah.
There's like a man-made turnaround
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Say minimal 10.
Okay, assuming same first 4 numbers, that's the 500 block in case you wanted to see it before I just keep the price on the screen.
It's really just a sand.
Yeah, it's just dirt out there.
Do
First,
you know who owns the oil wells?
I don't.
We might want to make friends with them and pay. Oh,
I think the name was. Man, it's been 15 years ago since I did that. Maybe it was Minky. I think it was called the Minky lease. That was.
So that's
15
probably
years
the
ago.
only thing that goes back there, the oil truck.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the only thing that goes back there.
It'll be minimal or minor? Minimal?
On traffic impact, I would say that this is a minimal. You don't have any houses. I mean, there's really no reason for somebody to go down Lee at the moment.
Environment 2? Or would it be 1?
There used to be some cow and horses on that.
Well, in agriculture also is kind of
Rural?
like
Okay,
another word
okay.
for rural as well. And I would say that this is definitely a rural.
Okay.
Okay.
Your importance of the repair, does it need to be paved anytime soon?
10?
So we
But
gotta-
y'all can tell me, you know,
One.
okay, your cost to do it.
Pretty high if you don't have any houses on there. Ain't car. I mean, what you got, that one house on the corner and that's it?
Yeah, and they don't service off of Lee.
This is butted up to where he's trying to do that development too, right? So
Right.
that would they have to have something to do with that if they?
They were gonna improve portions of it, I believe is what they're called to do, but I don't think they had to do all of it. I think the city was gonna. There's an agreement where you should have to ask Tim. I wasn't involved in it,
Or was that Texas Street?
but Texas Street is
Texas
gonna
is-
be improved, and then there's part of I know at least part of Lee, if not all of Lee, was gonna be improved, and then he's gonna improve Belton up to Green, I believe. But nothing's happened with that in quite a while. So
Differentiate overpriced and high.
so what I intended by that is high would be
2 houses, 20,000.
no, looking more of
Because to me, this is
It's-
going to be building a new street. I thought it would be higher. I really would thought it if we were good.
well again. Remember these numbers. So remember how I said this is substandard
Yeah.
width. This is repairing the road at substandard width. I did not do the calculations for if you're actually going to expand the road to what it should be. So these numbers would be higher than this.
Yeah, that's what okay.
But the intention between high and overpriced is high. You're getting at least something out of it at a high cost. So a good example would be there's some houses on there and we pave it, and it was a little high to do that, but we're at least servicing some people. In my opinion, overpriced would be we're
nuts.
paying a lot of money for one person, two person, no persons, and we're spending taxpayer dollars on a road that people really don't use. To me, that's overpriced.
So this is a one.
Price.
I would think this would be one of your overpriced, yeah. And then your personal priority?
To me, it's not a priority because it's not serving the greater good.
I agree. It's 3:00. I don't have time for another one.
You want to do one more?
Nah.
Nah.
No, you see what the next one is?
No, what is the next?
Oh, you're gonna bog down with food courts and all kinds of stuff on this next one.
Oh, what is it?
Oh, it's Mason.
Okay.
Show her the map. We're not gonna discuss it. Show her the map where Mason Street is. The next.
And John, only because I got to take these basketball clothes to this little girl, she just texted me.
I figured you picking somebody else.
That's Mason. Mason's a little road that runs behind one of the daycares on Hickory Street. Yeah, there's a new food court development right here. Dusty Boots. It's right there. That's where that's located.
Yep. All right, it's 3:00.
Before you adjourn, I don't know if we're holding a workshop. Are y'all available? It is pretty close to the holidays, so I don't know if y'all are out of town traveling and we just don't need to bother trying to have a workshop for these streets and just take the rest of the month off, or can we make a quorum to try to get these streets done? What's y'all's
We're gonna do it. We're
availability?
gonna canvass the committee
Okay.
and see. Personally, because of how sketchy it is having a full quorum, I prefer to try to get one.
Okay.
But if we can't, we can't.
Okay.
But-
Well,
What
if y'all,
day would that be?
it's
Kind of 16th.
the 16th.
Yeah.
The 16th?
16th, Shanna's birthday.
Oh, that's what. Oh, yeah. Throw that in on him. Oh man. Ouch. That hurt all the way over here. Oh, we're gonna have cake and everything here.
Maybe.
There's not enough. There's not enough candles for her cake, so we'll just do one.
Give her one big one.
If you'll check your calendars and either text me or Shanna or call us or tell Doug so he can tell me,
Looks okay to you?
just so we can know.
Okay.
I think I'm
Just
clear.
assume it's okay for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
If anything changes, I'll let
I pretty much hold the Tuesdays and Thursdays open.
Okay. Well, it's just gonna be the streets because it's a workshop. But
be
if
here
you can
before
make
we know
it,
it.
it'd be great to make it.
Right around the corner.
That's all I had. Now you can adjourn.
Thank you.
You said on this, yeah, yeah. Okay, that concludes the regular meeting of December 2025.